Kieran McGiver here with Box of Bants, and I'm on a road trip with Ian Gaughran in his Tesla. On the way to Mark Dunlop Promotions card in the Ulster Hall. No, not the Ulster Hall. Sorry, Europa Hotel. I always get the names mixed up. The Europa Hotel. Ian has very nicely offered to give me a lift up, which I really appreciate. Last time we interviewed you was with Graham, actually, over a year ago.
I think it just was.
It'll actually be 2 years in
June?
March, I think. It was the fight against Seamus Devlin.
No, I think we maybe. Yeah, it was. I thought maybe I jumped in and hijacked his interview when.
Yeah. That's exactly when. That's when it was. Yeah. So first of all, Dave Ryan, your fella, is out tonight, and Conor Kerr.
Yeah.
They're both your fighters. So first of all, do you want to tell us a little bit about Conor Kerr, because we haven't really. I haven't interviewed him yet, which I will tonight, but I actually haven't spoken to you about him either. So just give us a little background on him.
Yeah, he trains with Dan Anderson in Anderson Boxing up in Belfast, and he was an extremely good amateur. Never actually, I don't know if he even won an Ulster Elite. I think he always came up against someone, but high level amateur. And actually, his last amateur fight, he fought Jude Gallagher as a Commonwealth Games eliminator, and he got beaten on a split. And then Jude went and won the Commonwealth Games. So obviously he had known Dan, and he'd worked with Dan before, and Dan came to me and said, look, I think I've got a really good potential amateur turning over. Conor Kerr, he's kind of 27, 28, real mature, real hard working, and bags of talent. So I said, Grant, let's have a chat, blah blah blah. So we went back and forth and had a chat, had a look at a couple of videos, and had a look at the fight from the Gallagher fight. And I said, Jesus, this guy is good. And Dan was saying, look, he's probably still a little bit on the amateur style side of things, but that won't take long, because he's like a sponge, and he listens to everything, and it won't be long, especially down in and around featherweight, super featherweight, before we can get him into contention for a Celtic title or an Irish title, or kind of move on even to, he could even go down the British route with him if we wanted to. So he fought in Wales, made his debut in Wales in July, and won that well. And he caught a lot of people's attention on the night after the fight, when they were on early enough, and there was a lot of people there who were kind of going, Jesus, this fella's very good, what's the story with him, and blah blah blah. So we fought again. Then he had his kind of home debut on Mark's show in the Girdwood. When was that? Towards the end of last year, and that went well too. Won it well, won every round. Really, really busy. Loads of work. Throws a load of shots, and again caught plenty of people's eyes. Good support. Everybody there in the blue t-shirts. It's good. It was almost like a kind of a football-y vibe when you look out to the, in the Girdwood with the bleacher seats, and they obviously had bought them all. They were all there at the same place. Sea of blue, so it was nice. They made a load of noise as well.
That was the one that was supposed to be Declan Owen, wasn't it? Was that the show?
Girdwood?
Was that September?
Might have been September.
Yeah. Well, I might be wrong then, but anyway, go on.
So yeah, really pleased with that. And then things came and went, and Christmas time came, and was like, okay, let's get him out and let's get him up into 6 rounds, because with the state of the division at the moment it's Farrell, Hughes, and Miles Casey will be there. He's going to make his debut soon. And aside from that, then it was kind of a 3 and 4 lads in the division. Conor, Farrell, Hughes, Miles, Paul Noonan will come in. Kane Lewis I don't think can get down to super bantam. So it was kind of a case of, okay, let's move. Rudy's obviously one of mine, and he's fought for the Celtic against Murphy featherweight. He had a domestic with Jerry Hughes the last time, when obviously a lot of people thought, including myself and yourself, thought he would fight quite well. Scored a draw. So now we're looking at Conor fighting and impressing now over 6 rounds and moving straight into a domestic quite soon. Assuming all goes well tonight, he'll probably be announced for a big fight and a big show coming up, maybe early in the week.
You've got Dave Ryan, so like Dave Ryan obviously got debut of the year last year, but he seems like the stories I've been hearing about him, not just the sparring you were talking about recently, like, but in general I've heard that he's been sparring very well, and obviously he's been performing quite well, and he seems to have quite a high standard for himself.
He really does, that's the thing.
Jay Byrne, after show last Friday, after sending won the Celtic title, he kind of mentioned an Irish title in the works. Agreed. Now, at the time I was presuming that was probably Lee Reeves, because he meant the wins that Lee has on his record. But I imagine Dave is right in the mix for a fight at that belt.
Yeah.
Is he?
Well, that's my opinion of it, and that's kind of the team's opinion of it. Dave had 2 4-round fights and 2 6-rounders. The last 2 actually he fought with a hurt hand, and that's the reason why he's been out since June. He was having an awful lot of trouble with his hand. He got first opinion, second opinion, third opinion. He really has gone through the ringer with the hand, but he got it right about 2-3 months ago, and he's been really putting it through its paces. Everything is fine now, and he's working his arse off. You've probably seen the way he was on the scales yesterday. Like, he did 142.6, and he looks big and lean and healthy and not skinny or drawn. Or anything. I was quite surprised, really happy with how he looked on the scales. But yeah, we wanted this fight to be an 8-round fight tonight. It's a 6-rounder he's fighting tonight, so this will be his 3rd 6-rounder. And obviously, as you know, eligibility rules and all that say that you have to have an 8-round fight before you fight for the Irish. So we wanted this to be an 8-rounder, and the manager was happy, the trainer was happy, but the opponent didn't want to do an 8-round fight. I think he's got a fight next week, and maybe he didn't want to put himself through too much. Had explained that it was, it would be doing us a favour if he would step up to 8 rounds. Obviously we offered him a good bit more money, but he just didn't fancy it. So Dave will still be only eligible to fight for Senon's Celtic. Now, at this point, I can't see Senon wanting to defend the Celtic when he would be in line for the Irish. So we'll see now what the lay of the land is after tonight. This is going to be, all going well, this is going to be an extremely impressive performance from Dave. We're hoping anyway. He's hoping, as you said, he sets very high standards for himself, and he's really worked hard. He's probably put the best camp in of his professional career, and he's buzzing for tonight, I'm buzzing for tonight, and we'll probably look to get him out quite quick soon after. He's got a couple of things coming up with the missus. I think they're getting married soon, they're getting married abroad, so they're going away to look at the venues and all that kind of stuff, so he's got to otherwise engage for the next 2 months, but early in the summer, late spring, early summer, I'll have him out for 8 rounds, and then we'll be absolutely looking to get, if it's Senon, or if Senon has fought for the Irish in the meantime, I'd imagine it'll still be Senon, and we'll be looking to put that fight on, because the two of them have a little bit of history. They sparred together for Dave's licence, and I believe it was a fantastic spar, so it makes sense. It's easily made between myself and Jay, or whoever wants to put it on it. It would be a fantastic fight. 2 very different styles. Senon really hard pace, coming forward, coming at you. Dave kind of a bit more, I don't even know what way you call the style, but he picks his shots and he's stylish, so it's a real kind of clash of styles.
Well, potentially, like if Senon and Lee happens for the Irish title, it could even be Dave and Deco, couldn't it? Your old boxer Deco Gardy.
I think Dave would be happy to take that fight as well. I'm sure Deco would.
So that's not bad. But it's interesting. It's good. Obviously, it's great. The more in the division, obviously domestically,
that's it.
The more in the mix, you just don't know what happens. It really is, the ball's kind of in Senon's parking away, like really.
That's it. He's kind of the man now. Like,
yeah,
he's won the Celtic. Nobody, is at the level now, or has done anything of note
at 140.
At 140, apart from Senan. So Dave has the opportunity to put on a really good performance tonight, you know.
Yeah.
And then we'll get him up to 8 rounds because obviously it needs to be 8 rounds before he can fight for it. And yeah, Senan holds the cards.
Yeah.
So Senan's the man we need to hunt down at the moment.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's what we do.
You recently signed Miles Casey.
Yep.
A notoriously respected sparring partner around the country, but also a very, very, very high level amateur as he was. Like, but he kind of was, even though he was competing in the competitions and that on the pro scene, you would have just heard him as, you know, Katie Taylor sparring partner. He would have sparred anyone. Eric Donovan coming up to his big European fights.
He seems to be the kind of go-to guy.
Davey Oliver, like everyone, like, you know. So and now he's finally made a decision himself to turn over. What's your plans with Miles? Like what is Miles' ambition? Because you kind of said before, he's someone who he's not really about selling himself or the tickets or anything like that. He's more just put me in and fight, like in the mix.
Traditional kind of fighting man.
Really,
he understands that he's going to have to, you know, have a couple of fights. He wants to start off with a 6-rounder. That won't be let happen, I don't think. I know Emma Brennan was given a 6-rounder. I think there's a little bit of a, if you fought in the Olympics relatively recently, you can start off as a 6, but Mel likes things to be 4 rounds to start. Miles will just, he'll have a 4, he'll go straight into a 6, and the difference in the level, I'd say, between the debut and the second fight will be somebody who will come at him and come to fight, because Miles is definitely one of those who, the better the opponent, the better the performance will be. He's a really competitive fella, and like these spars, I believe, with Jazza and Eric and all, they're kind of fabled spars. Like there's no hiding place in the spar with Miles Casey. So we'll look to get him just a regular debut, let him find his feet. I don't think he needs to find his feet as a pro too much because of all of the pro sparring he's done. You know, it's not like a traditional amateur coming over. And he's an older as well. He's late 20s, you know, so it's not like he's a kid coming over either. So it'll be a normal 4, a hard 6, and then it'll be the same thing. He'll go looking for whoever has what they have in the super bantamweight division. You know, if it's Connor, Rudy, Jer Hughes, whoever it is, Miles is going to have to go looking for those. You know, Paul Lunham is starting out as well, under Niall Barrett and under Jay's banner. So he'll be on the kind of same trajectory as Paul, and that has the potential to be a brilliant scrap. Yeah, you know,
that's one that would have to happen very early, I imagine.
The two of them would be, I would imagine, would be on the same kind of plan and trajectory to be certainly within 12 months up bidding for Irish titles.
Yeah. To slightly sadder news, last week obviously Graham McCormack.
Only kind of sad news.
Well, yeah, like, sorry, it's going from going uphill to downhill a little bit, like, right? So Graham McCormack was fighting now. I want him to say Octavian Gratti. Really well known journeyman. He's fought everyone in Ireland, like, really, like, but like even though he's been around the block, he still looks like he's like 21. He's absolutely solid.
You can offer the scales, and
even after the fight, he didn't look like he was phased, like, you know. But
a lovely fella, just real calm and nice fella.
Yeah. But Graham had obviously a tough fight with him, where Graham was kind of having the fight to look forward for a title fight or something like that next.
Really was a blow off the cobwebs type of thing. He hadn't fought since the Craig McCarthy in April last year.
But he was visibly really disappointed after the fight. Like, what's been the conversations with him since then? Because he's the words that he said to me afterwards was saying that he was done. Yeah, he said he was done. Like, so
that's not the case anymore.
Yeah,
that's that usual, you know.
Making rash decisions.
The emotion of it all. He's no spring chicken. You know, he's 37 actually, coming up now in the next week or two, I think. and I blame myself a little bit for that. He wanted to just do a 4-rounder, blow off the cobwebs, grand, just get a win, get out of there, we're back in the mix, and yeah. But realistically, knowing how slow he starts his fights, I should have insisted on 6. It was originally going to be 6, and it was just let me just do a 4-rounder, and I should have just said, you know what, we're not doing a 4-rounder, we're doing 6 because. And even in the dressing room beforehand, I was saying to him, do not start slow. You know, it's a 4-round fight. If you ship the first couple of rounds, all of a sudden you're in need of a knockdown. You certainly have no room for error in rounds 3 and 4, and that's exactly how it played out. You know, he started slow, didn't look like himself. He dug in and digged out the result. And people were arguing afterwards and thinking that Bratty was holding. But I think Pat Ratigan would have been, or Pat Ratigan, is it Ratigan or Ratigan? Or anyway, Pat the ref, lovely fella. He was explaining after, said, look, it really would have been. It would have been extremely hometown to pull a point off Gratty, because Graham was kind of leaning in him and he was allowing the hold. But look, anyway, that's all well and good. Since then, Graham has decided that he's absolutely not going out like that. And as he said on his Instagram post, shit night, not a shit life. You know, I boxed terribly. He's not making any excuses. Like, it wasn't me. Couldn't get up for the fight. I was lethargic, I was slow, didn't do the weight right, but it's lit a fire back under his arse because the British board have continued to sanction him to fight Kieran Getting. And that looks now like that's been put forward to the British board for April 27th in Cardiff. And that's for the British Boxing Board of Control Celtic title. At super middleweight, and ordinarily I would be saying you're not going anywhere near super middleweight, but Kieran Getting isn't a natural super middleweight. Like he would have been, I think he was due to fight Deco at 140 a few years ago.
He was supposed to fight Gary Cully at 135.
Now he campaigned around them lower weights. Now he's since come up, you know, he's probably the same thing. When you get a little bit older, maybe you just don't want to do that horrible get down to 10 stone business anymore. But Graham is buzzing for the fight. As he said, like it's lit a fire, and I love the way his voice is now when I'm talking to him. He's just, let's get this done. I'm gonna go over there and flog this fella. I'm gonna redeem myself to you, and to my team. I was like, you don't fucking redeem yourself to me. I don't care. You know, I'll support him and I'll back him regardless of whether he wins, loses, or draws. You know, but he really feels that, you know, he let everybody down, and most importantly, he thinks he let Dylan down as young fella. He has no intentions of ever doing that again, because Dylan is his whole world. You know, he looks up to him. He's his hero.
I heard Dylan gave him a bad body shot when they got back to the house. Afterwards, I
won't be surprised
after that performance.
Dylan's going to be very good. I already have him pre-signed.
I've heard stories of that in football agency. I remember doing my course and my badges and that, and one of the lads used to go to Brighton, but now he's a football agent, and he said it's literally to the extent of you get kids and parents when they're like 13 or 14 to sign a blank piece of paper, and then when they turn of age and they print out the contract. So that might be something that you need to do with Dylan.
I said it was in around Christmas, I think.
Or you could just get Graham to sign it. Maybe the handwriting's probably similar, I'd say. What was I going to say? But like, you know, this whole thing, like Graham obviously didn't perform well. He wasn't up for it, and like even the weigh-in, like you look at him at the picture in the weigh-in, and you're like, that's a fella who looks like he wants to be nowhere near this fight. But like historically in Graham's career, like Graham early on in his career, he got knocked down by journeyman and stuff like that. Like, and then when he went to fight Paul Keane, his first domestic fight, like no one gave him a prayer, but because it was a domestic fight, he got really up for it. And then he had the Dominic fight. He got really up for his belt again, and he performed brilliantly. And then he had the Fergus Quinn fight, and you're thinking like, right, that's it, he's done. Like, you know, he didn't have a good night, and you know, he looked visibly like his age had caught up to him. And then he has and then he has the fight with Craig. And now, given look, he lost to Craig, but he went up in weight, and it was a very, very close decision. Do you know what I mean? And I thought Graham boxed very well. Do you know? And then you're thinking, God, he's got another little bit in him. Like, do you know what I mean? And then even when he told me that time he was going to retire, I was thinking, God, like, you know, if he could just have one more. And then you see the fight last week again. and it's that thought again, oh, maybe he's done. But then when you actually go back and look at everything back, you're like, oh, maybe he does have that one more push left in him. But really, at his age now, it really is one last one.
I know it is, and he knows that full well. And I think Sean had a good talk about him after the fight, and we've all had a conversation, and we all know what needs to be done. Certainly on his diet and his nutrition, and I think the whip will be cracked throughout camp on the weight, because we're not going down that road of trying to cut, killing himself.
Yeah.
And that was all well and good if you're in your early 30s or whenever you were throughout your career. But when you're 37 years old and you're trying to take that weight off in a water cut, the problem happens when your body says no the night before, and then you really have to kill yourself.
Yeah.
And it affects your performance. So I think he's brought in a new nutritionist, and everything is going to be monitored and on point. And Sean said, I want to see you down the gym every single day. I don't care if you're doing 2 or 3 sessions in the shed at home. I need to see you. We're going to stay on top of the weight. We're going to stay on top of everything. But the feeling I get from Graham is that probably isn't even massively necessary, because he knows what happened, and he knows where he's at and how many chances he has left. And look, despite that draw, somehow the stars have aligned that he's got an absolutely incredible opportunity to go over to Cardiff at the end of April and win his biggest fight. And if it's his last fight, great, you go off like that. If he wins it and he still feels like he has something, a big international fighter, fight a decent British contender, because he's going to be ranked in Europe if he wins this fight.
He's going to, sorry.
That British Celtic gives you plenty, going forward. But like if I was to be probably going to the head and he was to win that, I'd be saying, listen, Graham, forget about it now.
Yeah.
You've won a British title, you're ranked in Europe. What more do you need? Do you need to go in and fight fucking Tyler Denny or something for some sort of European belt and go in against a young man, or go in, like, you're not going to go hunting for a Heaney or one of those, you know what I mean? Like,
Curtis Wood has always said that. I remember reading his book, and when he turned over, obviously he was like 26. He'd never boxed before, and he'd reached his Everest when he won the British title against Darren Hamilton. Yeah. And he said the worst decision he ever did was come back for that extra fight, like, because he needed the money, and he gave the whole spiel of, look, I still had hunger for the fight game, that's why I've come back and all that. But he says I should have. Yeah. He says that was my Everest. I was immortal on that night, and then I ruined it by going back. So hopefully Graham, when he wins, he stays retired.
Yeah. And he's always said, and I've always said to him, that he can come on board with me, and give me a dig out, especially with such a strong Limerick contingent down there. Yeah.
There'll be no shit with Graham anyway.
Zero.
no lads in the can't spar because they've got to get rubbed down and all those. Oh, let's fucking crack.
But it'll be great for him as well. He can start as Dylan grows up as well.
He'll be calling lads shitty arse and everything like that. So another fighter recent that you signed was Caitlin Phelan. Yeah. Obviously Caitlin quite a bit of time out of the game. She's slowly getting out. She was supposed to fight on March 1st, the same night as Sian O'Neill as well. Obviously just been talking about them potentially fighting for an Irish title at some point this year, hopefully. You never know. But what's the scenario with her at the moment?
She won't fight on March the 1st. She had a bit of a setback last week, kind of in and around the end of last week, the week before last, when something happened. She got a bit of a tweak in the neck, and it took her out of the game for about a week, 8-9 days, and it just really set everything back. Her first bar was supposed to be early in that week. The first bar ended up getting put back by 2 weeks. It kind of put a halt on bringing the weight down and put a halt on increasing the sharpness and all that. So she won't fight now anymore on March the 1st, which she was heartbroken about. But in fairness to Jay Byrne, he's given her a slot on the April 6th show up in the Devonish. So as disappointed as it is, as she is, as Caitlin is, and as disappointing it is for all of us, because I just can't wait to see her back. It's only 5 weeks. What's 5 weeks? She's been out for nearly 3 years. we can just continue as we were. It means an extended camp, but she did kind of have that break in the middle of camp for those 8 or 9 days. So everything's fine. She had a very good spar with Sinead Kavanagh last week, or during the week, and Dan was delighted with her. She was with Dan Anderson as well. Dan was absolutely delighted with her, and she was happy with the spar. And when I spoke to her after the spar, I said, how'd you get on? And Dan seems happy with it. She said, yeah, it was a good spar and I'm happy, but it wasn't a good enough spar with the lateness of the spar actually happening for it to be good enough to find her Mercer first. And with the injury and the setback on the weight, like, she probably would have been another 1.5 kilos or 2 kilos more closer to. She's going to come back at light middle, and then fight after that. She'll go back down to welter. So as disappointing as it is for her, like, she's 23. She's been out for 3 years.
It's mad that she's still only 23.
It's only 5 weeks. You're 23 years old. You know, it was shit. But you're back.
It's crazy that she's still only 23.
Yeah,
like,
it really is. It's mad. She's such an incredible girl, and I've so much time for her. And you know, I really can't wait to see her back, because judging if that was her first bar after 3 years, and she gave Sinead Kavanagh right good. You know, I think it was a pretty decent spar by all accounts. And Sinead's getting ready for a good. Like, she's been in and around high level fights herself the last few years, and was a very good boxer. So
I'd love to see Sinead give boxing another go.
I would too, yeah.
Like now, like at the time there was no money in it for her, but now she could do both really, and there would be money there for her available, you know. But
and she's such a warrior, like. That's okay. That said, she was like.
And you see her fighting, like it's just boxing. Now she still obviously can do other things, but like even a fight with Cyborg, it was all just hands, just let's go for it, like. But
that's what Caitlin said. She was like, I couldn't believe how strong she was and how hard she was. And Caitlin said, I caught her with some lovely shots. I was just like, are they just bouncing off her? Now I think she did have plenty of success as well. But even the next day, Caitlin was like, my body is every inch of me. And I was like, well, in fairness, it is your first bar in 3 years, and it was against Sinead Kavanagh. So you're going to feel like you were through the ringer. But she was out, I think she was in the Phoenix Park doing a 5k, and she had a personal best at the time, I think. So, you know, everything is back on track. It's just been put back by 5 weeks. And like you say, you can't believe she's 23, because she seems like she's been around forever. And she has. She was around 5 years ago. She won her titles 3 years ago.
She's still ranked at WBC.
Yeah, 14 in the WBC rankings, and that will go straight back up. She was 11 until recently. That'll go straight back up with a win or two, and then like Cheyenne is there. I get on very well with her manager Robbie. You know Robbie yourself, like. Robbie's a good lad, and you know it's something that down the line.
Hopefully stars the line, because I think, you know, number one is the depth. Like, even though the depth is bigger than what it was in women's boxing in general, it's still not as much depth as you'd like to see, in particular domestic level. And with the calibre of both the girls, like both of them fought for Ireland's national champions, you know, they're not a million miles away from, you know, 4 fights and then fighting for world ranking titles and world titles. So really, if it's going to happen, like, it's going to have to really happen soon. Like, but the benefit is, like, women's boxing has this way of forgiving losses. You know, whoever loses, like you've Ebony Bridges, who was 4-0 or 5-0 fighting for world titles. She lost, and then she went straight back in and won another one. So it could be nice to finally create history and have the first Irish female Irish professional boxing champion.
It shouldn't take long. The two of them should have, like, Caitlin wins a couple of fights. She's obviously had world title success as a WBC youth champion, and smaller organisations as well. Cheyenne has only had the one fight. Now that was against your one Masio Koita, who was a nightmare of a day. But like, if Cheyenne, she's going to be 1-0-1, you would imagine, by March the 1st. If she's of a mind, and if Robbie's of a mind to get her out quickly and get 2 more, if she's 3-0-1, Caitlin has a fight or 2 in the meantime, you would have to hope that the BUI would be happy to let them fight for the Irish title. They don't need to fight for a Celtic title, I wouldn't have thought.
No, it might. I think the Celtic, like, even though it would be the first time like a woman's never fought on the island, has never fought for a Celtic title either. But I think, you know, it kind of spoiled that particular fight because they get. Sorry, just picking this back up here now. Like the like women fighting for the Irish title, it's not for necessarily for the want of trying. I remember Boxing Ireland were trying to get Siobhan O'Leary and Elaine Grennan, but like, you know, the stars have to align.
Yeah.
Like, there's only been like I think between 15 and 18 women ever to hold a professional license on the island, like a Boxing of Ireland one. And so then you have to have people in the same weight, the same amount of fights, or same amount of rounds, and it just all has to line up. So at the moment it's exciting because they're fairly close in weight, so it can happen. And Cheyenne is always someone that wanted to fight Caelan Phelan, apparently, like, so.
Yeah, they've had stars now.
But of course, at the same time, because the level that they're both aspiring to, I think if it doesn't happen this year, probably both of them will be like, right, I want to push on now to fight for whatever it is, Europeans or whatever it is, you know.
All going well, and barring injuries and barring anything silly happening, you know, we're only in February. Realistically, this should happen before the end of 2024.
Yeah.
You know, Cheyenne will probably, she'll be fighting in March, Caelan will fight in April. They could probably nearly both fight in May or June.
Yeah.
Summer off or whatever it is, you know, the usual things wind down a little bit. Fight again in the autumn and then sometime before Christmas.
Yeah.
I can't see any promoter on the island, whether it's Mark, Jay, McElhaney's, Jamie Conlon,
Elite,
any of them would absolutely put that fight on.
Yeah.
And as you say, it's history. We haven't had it.
Yeah.
And you know, we already have a history making.
And the thing is, whoever wins it will probably have them. Will be the only woman to have it on the mantelpiece for another 5 years, I'd say.
Yeah. And they go straight into a fight.
European.
Straight away for a European title fight, you would imagine.
And that's the thing as well, like, Lynn Harvey fought for European title, but no woman's ever won it on the island. Not even Katie Taylor or no one. So that's another one. The interesting thing is though, like, if you look at the rules on the BUI website, it's 10 rounds, which would be the equivalent to a world title fight in women's boxing.
Probably
so
two,
do you like the European has choice between 8 and 10, and look, they can realistically, I'd say probably maybe the girls might want to fight for 10 rounds. Do you know what I mean?
I think Caelan would like to fight for 10. I couldn't speak for Cheyenne.
WC International, IBF, all these for women's fight, you have a choice between 8 and 10. I think most women usually choose 10.
Yeah.
But do you think that's possible to have the choice between the two?
You would have to imagine that, well, like,
the conversation has never had to be had.
No, and the BUI they're quite, Mel likes to, and the BUI like to take lead from the EBU.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so if that's what happened in the EBU, it's probably what could possibly happen with the BUI.
Yeah.
You know, I would like to see it over 10 rounds. I just think it has the Irish title feel to it over 10 rounds. And, you know, I've no doubt that the two girls will put in the camp to be able to fight for 10 rounds. And I just think it has that big fight feel, you know.
Yeah.
The 8 rounds always seems like it's the gateway round between, you know, you're in your 6s and your 8. And even going back to what we were saying about Dave Ryan. Dave Ryan by rights should be able to fight 7 for the Irish title. Yeah. But he hasn't done an 8 rounder. So it's the step up to the big fights, and I like the fact that if it's a history making fight and it's a big fight, do it over 10.
Yeah. Jamie Morrissey obviously had his performance against Emmett Brennan. Now, I mean, he probably wasn't particularly happy, but I thought he did very well in the fight. I think he surprised a lot of people. I think he surprised Emmett.
Yeah.
I think Emmett really did truly find out what it's like to do championship rounds, to fight 8 rounds. I think he really learned that, a hard lesson from Jamie that night. Where's Jamie's head at the moment? Because he's had some big fights, great wins. He's already overachieved in the sport. Like, is he looking to still come back, get in the mix?
Yeah,
or
he's just kind of refreshing at the moment.
Yeah.
Kind of letting his own body rest.
Yeah.
And we'll sit down now, or we'll have a conversation probably early in the week and see where he wants to be. He took, you know, he had his debut Then he had the Berkey fight, which ended up being a fight of the year with IrishBoxing.com. He was out for a while, then he fought Seamus Devlin. Since then, he's fought McGivern, Cronin again, and Emmett. No one does that.
Yeah.
At our level, in and around the domestic level, no one does that.
Yeah.
And the two Cronin fights were absolute wars, and the Brennan fight was a fight of the year contender, certainly a domestic fight of the year contender. So I was happy for him to take a bit of time off, see where his head was at. He was kind of a little bit down, certainly in the immediate aftermath, but he was kind of also a bit tired and just wasn't of a mindset to come back and have a fight against a journeyman. So I said, look, get your head right, get your body right, rest, take your mind off boxing for a little while, and we'll come back in the springtime. So we're in and around that time now.
Yeah.
But like as you say, Jamie is massively overachieved, and despite the fact that he feels like he underperformed and he wasn't there, like you've spoken to before, he suffers really bad
OCD.
with the OCD. It's pure OCD, and it's probably something that he had set up conversations with sports psychologists and that kind of stuff, and I think that was the best move for him. You know, he's all the physical attributes. We know he can box. He gave Cronin a third time, 2 fights, and like you say, he surprised a lot of people against Emmett. It was unfortunate against Emmett that he probably started slow, and I don't know if it was the occasion or if it was the anxiety and the OCD that kind of got into his head. But it was really the real Jamie when he kind of woke up in 4, 5 and 6 that he put it on Emmett and he started to win rounds. And in fairness to Emmett, he found another gear.
Yeah.
Had a very big 7th, and he got Jamie out there at the 8th. I was so disappointed for Jamie that he didn't see the bell. But you know, he was taking plenty of punishment, and he had taken punishment previously from Cronin, so that kind of
he was coming to the end of the round anyway, and
there was
like,
a minute left or whatever.
and I don't think any judge had him up anyway.
No. So I think he was 4-2-1 down or something like that.
I forgot to say
Craig McCarthy and Kevin Cronin or Craig McCarthy and Tommy Hyde are fighting for, is it Lenzo belt?
Yeah, Celtic Nations title.
It's not the BUI Celtic title.
Six Nation. Oh, sorry. It's usually 6-rounder title fight, but
they're doing it.
do you know what they could do it at 8 because it's Len's belt, like so.
Yeah.
And you know, like people across the world won't know the difference anyway. You know,
the winner of that's there. You know.
Yeah.
If it's Tommy and Emma, maybe were to fight for the Irish.
Yeah.
Certainly, Jamie would fight Craig.
Yeah.
And winner fights the winner. You know.
Yeah.
Put himself back into that kind of situation. And if that meant fighting in Waterford, Jamie's happy to do it. If it meant fighting in Cork, Jamie's happy to do it. If it meant fighting in Belfast, it makes no odds to Jamie. If we can get a Limerick show, bloody fantastic. You know. But you know the boys have to go through their fight.
Yeah.
San Francisco, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. See, Tommy already had that date for Paddy's Day, obviously because his dad organised a lot of slots, so it was just finding someone.
Fair play to Craig for taking the fight. Tommy's a dangerous young fighter.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Look, Craig beat Graham. Craig is on the high, having come back off a really bad knockout, and he's gone and beaten Graham. So, you know, why would he not take the fight? Again, he's in his mid-30s.
Yeah.
Should we have gone up there and left? No, we haven't.
Right, we're getting close to Europe Hotel. I'm missing someone there that we were talking about. Who else are you looking after? Because there's just someone else on the tip of my tongue.
Really?
Who else are you looking after? There's someone else.
James Freeman?
Yeah, but he's a fight coming up. There's someone else I was going to say.
Let me think. Graham, Jamie, Dave, Rudy, Connor, James, Miles, Caden, Alan White. Everybody loves
That's it.
Alan White.
The great White. I hope he's fighting tonight.
He fought last night.
Last night. Sorry.
He fought last night. Got beaten in London. So he's going to have a few weeks off. He fought twice in a week. He's a legend. You know, he's on scales with the subway and all that kind of stuff.
As you'd say, you'd kind of I suppose in football, like soccer terms, he'd be like your JJ Okocha to your Bolton, your Di Canio to West Ham. He's a cult hero, like you know. Like he's taken over the mantelpiece from Marty Kaye's.
Yeah.
He's like, obviously he was a good amateur, and like, you know, if he was at the A side, he would probably have a lot more wins on his belt, but obviously he's not interested. So was his conversation with you just, look, I just want to just want to get out and fight and get paid?
Exactly. I couldn't be arsed selling tickets. It's not really something I want to do. I don't really want to go building a profile. He's in the army. He fights to make a few quid. He's building at home. Fights to make a few quid, and he's enjoying getting trips over here, there, and everywhere. He's getting put up. You know, he's enjoying himself. He's getting to meet like
lots of characters.
Lee Selby was very complimentary when he met him in Wales when he fought Ryan Pocock, and he's a tough fella. We go straight here, yeah.
Do you think you have to hold him back a bit in terms of not like I know like
in the debuts you do
like not, I don't mean that, but like I watched him against Sean Murray last week. And he started to really get involved in exchange in the fight, which is great. Like, obviously for us watching, it's like, fucking hell, this is a debut to Irish lads, and they're going,
here we are.
But he still, like the judge still didn't give him a single round.
Oh, shocking.
And then you're thinking, like, is it worth him going to the well like that and giving us that entertainment for nothing but the detriment of his health? You know, and look, obviously he's getting paid, like, and everything, but is he probably thinking, look, I'm going to wind it back unless I really think there is a sure chance I'm going to win here?
Yeah, we're gonna now look for, or not so much look, but see when the offers come in, see what it is we're up against. You know, these debuts are strange because, you know, the debut lads are so up for it, and you kind of not have a mind to be going in and going hell for leather and 120% to try and upset a debut. Do you know what I mean? And that's just brutal honesty around the state of the journeyman and prospects. You know, the journeyman's not there to go and upset everybody. I know some of them like to go in and have wins, but at this point now we're a little bit fed up. I thought he took a round off Glenn Byrne. I thought he took 2 rounds off Sean Murray. He should have been given a couple of more rounds in Wales, and when it's not being reflected on the scorecards.
What was the scorecard last night?
He lost everyone. He got dropped.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, he went exchange, and he just said he got caught. He shot the chin up in the air. Got in tight. The man caught him a lovely left hook on the inside. He was fine, but off the back of that, we'll give him a few weeks off because he's been out 5 or 6 times already. He's been out twice in a week. There's no need for him. He can take a little break. He's had to earn a nice few quid. He'll continue to earn the money, so it's grand.
Be interested to see how he progresses. Maybe he could learn a few tricks of trade from Marty.
That's it.
Marty Case hasn't been in the gym in a year, he says, and he still takes fights and gets through them. Like, so it really is an art. Right, okay, we'll wrap this up now.
We're going to find some parking.
But cheers, thanks very much, Ian. It definitely made the journey a lot shorter.
A good way to spend the trip. Have a little yap on camera on the way up to Europa.
Alright, okay, cheers.
Spot on.